On today's episode of the Fresh Brew Run Club, it is my 275-mile review of the New Balance More V5. Welcome to the Fresh Brew Run Club. My name is Aaron, and today's video is all about the New Balance More V5. So I've made a couple videos about this shoe before I did my initial run review, and then I did a review at about 100 miles. This review is after running 275 miles in this shoe. If you want a more detailed breakdown, check out that 100-mile review. This video is going to focus more so on the durability of this shoe and what it's like to run in them at 275 miles, almost 300. I didn't quite get there yet, but we'll talk about that. So let's jump right into it. Just a high-level overview of what this shoe actually is. So this is a max cushion shoe, and it really is a max cushion shoe. It is the most max cushion shoe that I have ever run in. So I was excited about these. I put them on, and I realized very quickly these are not versatile at all. These are a shoe that should be exclusively used for slow runs, for easy runs, for recovery runs, nothing fast because there is just too much foam. The foam is too soft. You cannot pick up the pace in these shoes whatsoever, but they are a pretty decent easy run shoe. I use these for the bulk of my marathon training as my easy run shoe, as my recovery shoe, and they're fine. They're okay. That would be my overall review of these shoes. They're okay. So the More V5 uses the new version of New Balance's Fresh Foam X Foam, which is an even softer foam. I ran in the 1080 V13s. It had that new foam. I did not like those shoes. They were really unstable. However, I did not notice any stability issues with this shoe. The width of the shoe, it is a very, very wide, large shoe, tons of foam. The width contributes to a decent amount of stability. I never felt unstable running in these, and I have twisted my ankle many times because of narrow shoes or unstable shoes. Didn't have a problem with these. These are like large boats when you're going up and down the sidewalks. So no stability issues there, but again, you're not running particularly fast in these. So this is my 275-mile review, so I want to really focus on the durability. We will start with the bottom of the shoe. That is the outsole. So right out of the box, the outsole is pretty flat. Like there's not a lot of variation in the outsole. I didn't slip at all. I didn't run a ton in the rain in these shoes, and like I said, I didn't really run that fast. I never felt like these were a slippery shoe, but if you want something with a little more grip, you're probably not gonna love these. However, after 275 miles, I have absolutely flattened the bottom of this shoe. That outsole rubber is smooth at this point. I did not break through to the midsole foam with the exception of kind of in the back corner here. I'm a heel striker, so I hit my foot on the back of this shoe and started to wear it down. But overall, after 275 miles, the outsole rubber held up pretty well. There is a little bit of wear on the exposed midsole foam on the bottom, but nothing too bad. So moving up to the actual midsole, in pretty good shape. There's a lot of wrinkles. I know people don't like to see wrinkles on their shoes. I get it. It's purely aesthetic in this case. I did not have any problems with pieces of the foam falling out or separation from the upper. It is pretty much intact with the exception of some wrinkles. So moving up to the upper, and I grabbed my left shoe because I got these very dirty. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if it's going to focus on that because I kicked a stick. It was about my third run in these shoes. I was like, let me kick this stick out of the way, and it was covered in dirt. And from that point on, these shoes became pretty dirty looking, but that's just aesthetics. The actual upper held up very, very well. There is no visible damage other than a little bit of dirt, but that's not damage, that's just dirt. The area that I tend to beat up on the upper the most is this inside ankle area. I kick my foot when I'm like going around turns. You can kind of see how it's darker here because I was repeatedly kicking that area on the inside of my ankle. Some shoes I have just destroyed in that portion. These held up. There is no ripping, there's no tearing. They're in really good shape. The laces, they managed to hold up over time, so no issues with the laces. The inside of the shoe is fine. In fact, the design on the inside of the insole is still intact, which is kind of cool. So everything has held up pretty well. Nothing has fallen apart. Nothing has broken. Nothing has ripped after 275 miles in these shoes. Now, the reason I didn't make it to 300 miles is because at about, I don't know, 240-ish miles, these started to feel a little bit dead. That massive amount of foam started to lose its life, started to lose a little bit of its bounce, and after a while, it just kind of became a burden to run in these. It just felt like I was completely losing energy with every stride. So I decided to retire these at 275 miles. I think that is a good amount of mileage for a pair of modern shoes. Of course, I'd love to get more out of every pair of shoes I run, but it's pretty standard as far as running shoes go these days. So overall, after nearly 300 miles in these shoes, I'm going to give my final review, and I'm rolling out Breaking news, I'm rolling out a new review system. It is a 3-tier review system where the worst shoes get a trash them, which means I am going to throw these shoes away before I even run like 50 or 100 miles in them. They are so uncomfortable that I can't stand running in them anymore, so I'm just gonna get rid of them. The second level is keep them, which means I'm gonna keep these shoes, keep running in these shoes as long as I can until they no longer work. And then the third level, the best review a shoe can get, is buy them again, which means I will have run the entire life of that shoe and I will purchase another pair. When it comes to the New Balance More V5, these are a keep them. They were fine. They held up for my training in a marathon, but they just weren't versatile enough. They weren't fun enough. They were just kind of a shoe that was on my foot, that was kind of comfortable, but I never really loved them. So I wouldn't buy these again, even if they were on sale. I'm going to look for something else. In fact, I already found something else. So subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can probably figure out what shoe I am replacing the More V5s with as far as max cushion goes, but they were fine. They were okay. If you're looking for a shoe that has a ton of foam, that is really slow, that is somewhat heavy, that is somewhat hot, just for those easy runs, for recovery runs, this is a fantastic shoe. If you want something that can do more than one pace, a little versatility, a little bit of speed, a little bit of a lighter shoe, probably not your best bet. Even aesthetically, these shoes were just kind of meh. Just this gray sort of like March weather colorway. That's what I got out of these. They weren't bad by any means. They were fine. They got the job done, but definitely not something that I'm going to purchase for a second time. So let me know if you've run in these shoes. If you're curious, if you have any questions about what it's like to run in the More V5s, check out my videos or leave a comment below and I'll do my best to respond to it. But that is my review for the New Balance More V5. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you soon.